Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. The most intelligent predators don't roar in the jungle. They let the silence do the killing. Every era has its loud ones, the talkers, the posers, the self-proclaimed alphas flashing power like neon signs begging for validation. But history's real game changers. They're the ghosts who move without noise, the thinkers who pull strings from behind curtains no one even knows exist. Psychologists call it strategic invisibility, the ability to influence the world without leaving fingerprints. It's the quiet art of control, and Sigma males have perfected it. They don't crave to be seen because they already know being watched means being targeted. They don't chase power. They build it in silence while the noisy ones perform for likes. And while everyone's shouting for attention, the Sigma is in the dark, sipping his coffee, observing chaos unfold like it's free entertainment and quietly collecting data on who's really running the show. This isn't mystery for ego's sake. It's mathematics of survival, psychology of dominance, and the purest form of self-command. Because only the smartest men understand this truth. The shadow isn't a place to hide. It's the throne room of control. Number 1, he knows that noise dilutes strategy. The smartest Sigma males understand that the more you talk, the weaker your position becomes. Every unnecessary word exposes a thought, a plan, or an insecurity that someone clever can exploit. In a world where everyone rushes to post, prove, and explain, the Sigma male has mastered the opposite: restraint. He knows that strategy demands silence because words are currency, and most people spend theirs foolishly. He's not quiet because he lacks opinions. He's quiet because he understands timing. Every plan has its fragile stage, the phase where one careless conversation or premature reveal can ruin months of invisible work. He's learned that silence is not just a habit, it's protection. It keeps his intentions pure and his direction unpredictable. The loud ones give away their next move by bragging about their current one. The Sigma doesn't. He lets curiosity become his camouflage. Noise is a distraction, disguised as productivity. People think being vocal means being relevant, but the Sigma male knows the louder you get, the less you see. Silence lets him observe what everyone else misses. It gives him the upper hand, because while others are explaining themselves, he's gathering information they didn't mean to reveal. He's not outsmarting anyone directly. He's just not wasting his breath while they're wasting theirs. His restraint also unnerves people. Most can't stand not knowing what someone's thinking. They'll overanalyze, project, and panic, trying to fill the silence he deliberately leaves behind. That's part of the genius. He uses quiet the way others use charisma, to bend attention toward him without even trying. His silence speaks volumes, and those volumes keep others guessing. The Sigma male doesn't see silence as absence. He sees it as precision. Talking too soon or too much weakens the impact of his next move. Every time he stays quiet, his strategy grows sharper, his image grows colder, and his influence deepens. While others drown themselves in noise, he masters the art of calm execution. Because in a world addicted to volume, true power always moves in whispers. Number 2, he values power that doesn't need performance. The Sigma male's relationship with power is surgical. Stripped of theatrics and ego, he doesn't perform to prove strength, he embodies it. While others chase visibility, posting, flexing, and craving acknowledgement, he finds satisfaction in mastery itself. His power is personal, a quiet competence that doesn't need an audience to exist. He's not interested in proving he's right, he's interested in being right. That's the difference. Validation from others is unstable currency, and he refuses to trade his identity for it. The applause that excites the crowd bores him. because he knows it's usually the loudest reward for the smallest effort. What fulfills him is precision, doing something with such clarity and control that only he truly understands its depth. That's why people often mistake his calm for arrogance. But it's not arrogance, it's immunity. When you stop performing for others, you stop being owned by their opinions. He no longer needs approval because he's already confirmed his own value internally. That kind of confidence unnerves people, especially those whose entire identity depends on external validation. The Sigma male sees performance for what it really is, a silent contract with the crowd. The moment you perform, you owe the audience consistency. The same act, the same energy, the same mask. He refuses to wear one. His power lies in the fact that he doesn't need to be seen to exist. He can disappear completely and still hold influence because his value isn't tied to attention. It's tied to competence. This is what separates him from the pretenders. They talk about greatness, he quietly builds it. They chase status symbols, he builds systems that make status irrelevant. The Sigma's power doesn't sparkle, it hums, low and steady, beneath the surface. It's the kind of power that doesn't demand recognition because it already commands respect. In a world addicted to applause, he's the man who walks away from the stage because he knows real power doesn't perform, it simply is. Number 3, the shadow protects him from psychological corrosion. The Sigma male understands that constant visibility is toxic. The more you're seen, the more the world starts editing you. Opinions, expectations, trends. They begin to shape how you act, what you say, even what you believe. Over time, you stop thinking freely and start performing subconsciously for approval. That's the silent corrosion most people never notice. The Sigma avoids it by staying in the shadows, where his mind stays unbothered, untouched, and unprogrammed. He values his psychological clarity more than social validation. Every hour spent in solitude is like a detox for his mind. He doesn't absorb the emotional noise of others or get infected by groupthink. While the world drowns in the pressure to conform, he thrives in self-containment. The shadow becomes his armor, a place where his thoughts can stay raw, undiluted, and brutally honest. Most people mistake his distance for coldness, but in reality, it's preservation. The Sigma knows that too much exposure drains authenticity. The constant need to explain, to justify, to be relatable, it eats away at individuality. The more people you let into your head, the less room you have for your own voice. So he stays away from the spotlight, not because he fears people, but because he refuses to be remodeled by their expectations. Solitude doesn't weaken him, it sharpens him. It allows him to listen to his own instincts without the distortion of noise. It's in that silence that his real intelligence evolves. While others chase validation, he refines his perception. He sees what the world can't because he's not blinded by it. The Sigma male's shadow isn't darkness, it's protection. It's where his identity breathes without the suffocating influence of constant observation. It keeps his thoughts unpolluted, his emotions grounded, and his purpose clean. He doesn't need a crowd to confirm who he is. He's already confirmed it in silence. That's why his presence feels different, because he's one of the few men left untouched by psychological corrosion. Number 4, he knows silence amplifies mystery. The Sigma male understands a secret most people never grasp. Silence doesn't create distance, it creates gravity. The moment he stops explaining himself, the world starts doing it for him. People fill the gaps in his quiet with their own assumptions, fears, and fantasies. And that's exactly where his power begins. Their projections become his camouflage. They see what they want to see, not who he truly is. In a world obsessed with exposure, He understands that mystery is the last remaining form of power. Everyone else is giving themselves away, their thoughts, their emotions, their routines, all uploaded and accessible. The Sigma doesn't play that game. He lets curiosity do the work for him. People's need to figure him out keeps him in control, because attention built on mystery is more powerful than attention begged for. Silence makes him unpredictable. The moment people can't read you, they can't prepare for you. It keeps them cautious, intrigued, and slightly off balance. That psychological uncertainty gives him an advantage without saying a single word. He doesn't chase reactions. He lets them chase meaning in his silence. And the irony is, the less he reveals, the more people talk about him. The mystery becomes self-sustaining. People create entire stories to explain what they can't understand, and those stories often make him appear larger, sharper, or more dangerous than he actually is. He's fully aware of that effect and uses it strategically. Why waste energy proving power when the unknown already intimidates more effectively than the known ever could? Silence also frees him from expectation. Once you explain yourself, you're bound to that explanation. But when you stay mysterious, you remain fluid, impossible to label, impossible to predict. He can shift roles, intentions, and emotions without anyone realizing. That's psychological mastery. For the Sigma male, silence isn't absence. It's influence in disguise. It forces others to think harder, watch closer, and react more than they should. And while they're busy decoding him, he's already 2 steps ahead, calm, unreadable, and fully in control of the narrative he never had to speak. Number 5, the shadow shields, his intentions. The Sigma male's silence isn't about secrecy for secrecy's sake. It's strategy. He knows that exposure ruins precision. Every great move, every shift in power needs time to mature in silence. The world rushes to reveal its plans, but he operates differently. He hides not out of fear, but out of preparation. The shadow becomes his workshop, the place where he crafts, refines, and strengthens his intentions before unleashing them when no one can stop them. He understands that when people know your next step, they start building walls against it. They calculate, they predict, they interfere. So he does the opposite. He lets his silence confuse them. While others gossip, overshare, or brag about what's coming next, he's moving quietly in the background, stacking leverage piece by piece. By the time his actions are visible, it's already too late for anyone to react. His restraint isn't weakness, it's design. The Sigma male doesn't believe in showing drafts. He only presents finished results. Every conversation, every decision is filtered through a mental firewall. If it doesn't serve the mission, it stays locked inside. This gives him an aura of unpredictability that unsettles people. They can't map his moves because he leaves no trail. Even in conflict, his shadow shields him. He never reveals his emotions, his limits, or his intentions. People can't attack what they can't define. While others expose themselves through impulsive reactions, he uses patience as a weapon. He knows that stillness hides storms, and that by the time he moves, the damage will be clean and irreversible. The Sigma male's power doesn't come from aggression, it comes from timing. His silence before a move is the equivalent of a loaded gun with the safety off, calm, controlled, but undeniably dangerous. The shadow isn't where he retreats, it's where he reloads. Every quiet step, every unspoken thought is part of a calculated build-up towards something that can't be undone once revealed. He's not hiding, he's arming, and when he finally steps out of the dark, he doesn't need to announce anything. His results do all the talking, and by then, no one can do a thing about it. Number 6. He understands that real power doesn't announce itself. The Sigma male knows that real power doesn't need an audience. It needs results. The moment you start broadcasting your strength, you also broadcast your weaknesses. Kings show their crowns because they need recognition to feel powerful. Assassins don't because they are powerful. That's the Sigma's mindset. He doesn't crave validation or acknowledgement. He's focused on control, not applause. In his world, visibility is risk. The louder you are, the easier you are to study. The easier you are to study, the easier you are to destroy. The Sigma understands that dominance is only effective when it's unpredictable, and unpredictability dies under the spotlight. That's why he moves quietly, letting his actions whisper what others try to scream. He doesn't need to talk about his next move because he's already 10 steps ahead. The modern world rewards noise. People mistake exposure for importance, but the Sigma male sees through that illusion. He knows the loudest person in the room is often the weakest one there, desperate to be believed because they don't even believe themselves. He'd rather operate like a ghost, invisible, efficient, and unavoidable when necessary. By the time people notice his influence, it's already too deep to resist. True dominance to him is about psychological weight, the ability to bend reality without raising your voice. He doesn't fight for control. He becomes controlled by staying unreadable. You can't attack what you can't predict. You can't prepare for what you can't see coming. That's why his silence isn't emptiness. It's tactical invisibility, and there's a quiet humor in it too. He watches the loud ones announce their every move, post their plans, and sabotage themselves in the process. Meanwhile, he's already executed what they're still talking about. He doesn't need a crown to confirm his authority. His results are proof enough. The Sigma male lives by one unspoken rule. Power that must be proven is already fragile. So he never performs it, never advertises it, and never defends it. Real power doesn't make noise, it just changes the room. Number 7, he doesn't want followers. He wants freedom. The Sigma male doesn't crave followers, because followers come with invisible handcuffs. The moment people start depending on you, they start defining you. They expect consistency, leadership, reassurance, and before long, you're performing to maintain the image they've built for you. That's the prison the Sigma avoids. He'd rather walk alone in the dark than be worshipped in the light. In the dark, he owes nothing to anyone. No explanations, no appearances, no adjustments. Just pure, unfiltered freedom. He understands that followers turn independence into obligation. Every man who builds a crowd eventually becomes a servant to it. They can't pivot, can't change, can't evolve without disappointing someone. The Sigma refuses that leash. He doesn't want to be a symbol or a savior. He just wants space to breathe, to think, to vanish and return on his own terms. That's real power to him, not being admired but being untouchable. His silence isn't a rejection of people, it's a rejection of dependency. He values connection but not ownership. The world mistakes leadership for control, but the Sigma knows it's just another form of captivity. The more eyes you have on you, the less control you have over yourself. So he removes himself from the stage, choosing solitude over spectacle. There's also a quiet satisfaction in knowing he doesn't need a crowd to validate his direction. The Sigma's compass points inward, not outward. He listens to his intuition, not applause. And ironically, that independence attracts more admiration than he ever seeks. People follow him because he doesn't want to be followed. They're drawn to the man who walks freely when everyone else is busy performing for attention. Freedom to the Sigma is worth more than leadership, fame, or loyalty. Followers demand consistency. Freedom demands authenticity. He'll choose authenticity every time, even if it means disappearing completely, because at the end of the day, he'd rather be misunderstood and free than celebrated and trapped. Number 8, he knows that darkness exposes real light. The Sigma male knows that true understanding doesn't come from constant interaction. It comes from observation in silence. Darkness, for him, isn't emptiness, it's clarity. When the world goes quiet, the masks fall. In that stillness, he sees what most people never notice: the tremor in a confident voice, the hesitation behind a compliment, the self-interest hidden beneath generosity. The absence of noise exposes what the noise was hiding all along. He uses solitude like a magnifying glass. Away from distractions, his intuition sharpens into precision. While others drown in emotional clutter, he can read the smallest shifts in tone, expression, or energy. He doesn't overthink, he decodes. His calm detachment allows him to process reality without distortion. That's why he often sees through manipulation long before it happens. People call it intuition, but for him, it's just pattern recognition developed through quiet study. His detachment isn't coldness, it's calibration. By staying emotionally neutral, he keeps his perception clean. The moment emotions take over, judgment blurs. And that's a luxury he can't afford. The Sigma male prefers clarity over comfort, truth over validation. That's why he withdraws from chaotic environments, not because he's antisocial, but because chaos blinds insight. In stillness, the truth becomes visible. What others call darkness, he calls focus. He's not afraid of being alone with his thoughts because he knows that's where the real data lives. In the dark, he replays conversations, analyzes behaviors, and connects motives that others overlook. He doesn't react, he studies. And that's how he stays several moves ahead without ever announcing it. The Sigma male has learned that noise deceives, but silence reveals. It's in those quiet spaces where real light appears, the kind of light that exposes character, not just charisma. His ability to see through people isn't supernatural. It's psychological refinement earned in solitude. The world calls it darkness. He calls it truth in its purest form. Number 9, he understands that emotional distance breeds control. The Sigma male understands that emotions are data, and data, when exposed, can be weaponized. The moment people can read what you feel, they can manipulate how you act. That's why he keeps emotional distance, not because he lacks feeling, but because he refuses to give others the keys to his internal system. By staying unreadable, he stays unplayable. His calm is his encryption. He's mastered the subtle art of detachment, the ability to feel deeply without broadcasting it. When everyone else reacts impulsively, he remains composed, not because he's heartless, but because he's strategic. He knows that emotional transparency is a luxury that powerful minds can't afford. Once people learn what triggers you, they can guide your reactions like remote controls. So he keeps his buttons invisible. This doesn't mean he's cold or numb. It means he regulates emotion the way a warrior sharpens a blade, with precision. He doesn't let feelings drive the car. They ride in the back seat, under his command. That emotional discipline gives him a kind of power that unnerves others. They can't predict his next move because they can't decode his state of mind. And uncertainty is control in its purest form. His distance isn't avoidance, it's defense. The Sigma male operates with a calm exterior because chaos feeds on visible emotion. When people can't tell whether you're angry, hurt, or unaffected, they hesitate. That hesitation gives him leverage. It allows him to dictate the emotional pace of every interaction. He decides when to engage, when to withdraw, and when to let silence do the damage. Most people think control means dominating others, but the Sigma knows it starts with mastering yourself. Emotional control is the foundation of psychological power. While others are busy reacting, he's calculating. His restraint isn't weakness. It's insulation from manipulation. He doesn't just move in the shadows. He thinks in them. And that's why he stays psychologically unhackable. Because in a world addicted to emotional exposure, He remains the only one who can't be read, played, or predicted. Number 10. Visibility destroys precision. The Sigma male understands that the moment you become visible, you become measurable, and anything that can be measured can be manipulated. Once people can observe your habits, your tone, your timing, and your reactions, they start to decode you. And when they can decode you, they can anticipate you. That's how power leaks. Not through failure, but through predictability. He doesn't stay invisible because he fears attention. He stays invisible because he understands its cost. Visibility dilutes precision. Every public move invites interpretation, and interpretation breeds interference. The Sigma prefers to stay behind the curtain, where his strategy stays unpolluted and his intent can't be tracked. To him, silence and secrecy aren't paranoia. They're performance enhancers. He moves like a sniper, not a soldier. The sniper knows the target. The target never knows the sniper. That asymmetry is what makes his actions devastatingly effective. The less they see, the less they can prepare for. His unpredictability becomes his shield. And in a world obsessed with exposure, unpredictability is the rarest form of dominance. Even in daily life, he resists the urge to overexpose. He doesn't post every win, explain every thought, or announce every direction. He's aware that most people broadcast not out of confidence, but out of insecurity, a desperate attempt to prove relevance. He doesn't need that. His satisfaction comes from execution, not exhibition. Every move he makes is sharpened by silence, refined by restraint. When others rush to display power, he withholds his. That restraint amplifies his accuracy. He strikes with such precision because no one ever sees the setup coming. The fewer eyes on him, the more control he has over his timing and outcome. For the Sigma male, visibility is noise, and noise disrupts aim. His invisibility isn't weakness. It's the mechanism that keeps his blade sharp, because the truth is simple and brutal. Once people can see you clearly, they start preparing your cage. And that's why the Sigma remains in the shadows, unseen, unpredictable, and dangerously precise. Number 11, attention is a leash. The Sigma male understands that attention, though intoxicating, is a trap dressed as validation. The more eyes that turn toward you, the more rules you're forced to obey. Attention looks like freedom. Everyone noticing you, praising you, wanting to hear your thoughts. But it's really surveillance. Every admirer becomes a silent observer, dissecting your every move, waiting for you to slip. That's why the Sigma refuses to beg for it. He knows that attention doesn't make you powerful, it monitors you. When people chase attention, they unknowingly hand over their autonomy. They begin performing to maintain it, shaping their words and actions around what will keep the crowd entertained. Before long, they're not living, they're managing perception. The Sigma sees that cycle and quietly steps out of it. He doesn't need to be seen to feel alive. In fact, he performs best when no one's watching. The lack of external eyes keeps his thoughts authentic, his actions precise, and his motives untraceable. He knows that attention always comes with hidden terms, expectations, moral policing, social debt. Once the spotlight's on you, you can't move freely. Every mistake becomes a headline, every silence becomes suspicion. The Sigma doesn't want that burden. He values movement without observation, decisions without debate. Freedom, to him, is the ability to act without explaining yourself. And here's the irony. The more he avoids attention, the more attention he attracts. People are magnetized by mystery, and his indifference to validation only amplifies his allure. But even then, he keeps his distance. He treats visibility like fire, useful in small doses, destructive when uncontrolled. The Sigma male's wisdom lies in this. Attention might make you famous, but it also makes you predictable. It invites opinions, judgments, and emotional debt. He'd rather operate unseen, where his choices are his own and his power isn't diluted by performance. Attention to him isn't status, it's surveillance. And that's why he never wears a leash, no matter how shiny it looks. Number 12. He knows the spotlight is a trap for the weak. The Sigma male knows that the spotlight doesn't illuminate greatness. It exposes vulnerability. Society has spent decades convincing people that being seen means being successful, that the loudest voice holds the most power. But the Sigma sees through the illusion. He knows that the moment you crave visibility, you become predictable, and predictability is the death of control. The spotlight is seductive because it feeds the ego. It makes you feel validated, admired, even superior. But what most people don't realize is that the spotlight doesn't just shine on you, it studies you. Every reaction, every expression, every word becomes information that can be used to predict and manipulate you. The Sigma male refuses to hand over that kind of data. He understands that real power moves silently, beneath perception, untouched by public expectation. He watches how those addicted to attention slowly lose themselves. The influencer becomes a puppet to algorithms. The leader becomes a slave to approval. The spotlight convinces them they're in charge while it quietly dictates their every move. The Sigma sees this and steps back into the dark, not out of fear, but out of intelligence. He knows that the moment you live to be seen, you stop living freely. To him, invisibility is a weapon. When no one's watching, he can adapt, shift, and strike from angles no one expects. The unseen man can't be predicted, and the unpredictable man can't be controlled. That's the difference between those who seek attention and those who command power. He doesn't need the validation that comes from being watched. He thrives on the advantage that comes from not being tracked. The spotlight creates celebrities. The shadows create strategists. And the Sigma male has no interest in being adored if it costs him precision. He'd rather let others fight for the camera while he rewires the system from behind it. Because while the weak are performing under the lights, the Sigma is in the dark, rewriting the rules they'll never see coming. Power, in its purest form, doesn't need to scream. It moves in silence, builds in secrecy, and strikes when no one's looking. That's the philosophy of the Sigma male who operates in the shadow. His strength isn't born from dominance or display. It's born from control over his mind, his emotions, and his environment. The world glorifies those who shine under the spotlight, but the Sigma knows light is a distraction. It blinds, it exposes, it weakens. The shadow, however, refines, it filters out noise, sharpens focus, and protects what's still evolving. The smartest Sigma males aren't invisible because they're afraid. They're invisible because they understand visibility costs precision. They build power in silence so that when they finally act, it's not noise, it's impact. Every move, every silence, every withdrawal is a calculation. The shadow is not their hiding place, it's their headquarters. From there they analyze patterns, test human nature, and move without interference. While the world wastes energy performing for attention, the Sigma channels his into mastery. He doesn't chase validation because validation is a leash. He doesn't seek followers because followers bring weight. His only loyalty is to freedom, freedom of mind, of motion, of identity. And that's what terrifies the system. A man who doesn't need the crowd cannot be controlled by it. So when you see a Sigma male disappearing, understand this: he's not gone, he's gathering. His silence is strategy, his distance is discipline, and when he finally emerges, it's never to impress, it's to shift the game entirely. If this resonated with you, If you see pieces of yourself in this silent strength, this unshakable detachment, this hunger for truth over attention, then you're not here by accident. You're one of the few who understand that real power never advertises. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with those who are beginning to see the truth behind the noise. Drop a comment below and tell us which point hit you hardest. Because while the world chases light, we build our empires in the dark.